All right. So you're now becoming opportunity makers, right? After our last module and with all those conversational selling skills, you've got the power to grow your business even more. So let's work together to take the next step forward towards achieving your dreams. And that's what this is all about. But it all starts with setting goals. And it's important that you realize the significance and apply this knowledge in your business. All right, now if I can get over my technical issues here. All right, so here is our goal setting agenda, and it includes starting with your dream, and then the first step in achieving your dream is setting SMART goals. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. We're going to be talking about our measures, or what we call our key metrics, and what to think about, and then defining strategies. So this topic is not only important but relevant to our group. So how do you think um, your team will benefit from goal setting? So after you learn about goal setting, how would it benefit your team? If you were to pass the knowledge on to your team, how would that benefit you and your team? Oh, it looks like Ariel's
Look,
joined
Ariel's
us.
here. Hmm.
Hey, I didn't think you were going to be joining us. How are you? All right. So setting goals, how do you guys think that is a benefit for you and your team?
I think, Marie, once, I mean, I go through this process and get re-energized and all that, I would hope that people that have been in my downline for a while and have been doing Avon for a while, maybe it'll, like light a fire, so to speak, or something to get them remotivated and try to do more with their business as well.
Great. And then think about all of the incentives Avon puts before us, and making sure that your team, those that are motivated on your team, we all have those people on our team that they just do what they do. They just want to sell a little product. They just are buying for themselves. But then you have those that are actually motivated to move their business forward. So the incentives that Avon puts in place, I mean, that's a great opportunity to practice goal setting with them, to find out what they would like, and then using maybe a current incentive to say, hey, if you do this, this, and this with this incentive, it's going to get you that much closer to your goal. And then I think back just recently to the cruise to Bermuda that so many of our leaders achieved, and I know that without goals and setting goals for themselves, that they would not have achieved that dream, and that was their ultimate goal this year was to be on that cruise. So goal setting is just so important. And for those of you that are going to rep fest, oh my goodness, when you get back with your hair on fire, you're going to be re-evaluating your goals and setting new goals for the rest of the year, I'm sure. But I'm super excited for all of you in this program. All right, so I love this. Members of the Harvard 1979 MBA program were asked if they had written down a clear set of goals. Only 3% had. 10 years later, the 3% that had written goals were earning on average 10 times more than the other 97% of the class combined. So, why do you think this happened? You guys are not going to be cooperating with me
because
tonight.
because they didn't write their goals and they didn't plan out their goals of what they wanted to do. Like they didn't really, like, people think that they know what they want in their head, but in reality, if you don't write it down or you don't make a plan to do so, this is Ariel, by the way. I was able to get
Exactly.
on. I switched with someone else.
Yeah.
Sorry. Because I really wanted to be on this call because I felt like it was needed.
Good. I'm glad
For a
you're
lot of
here.
different reasons. But what I was going to say was a lot of people think, oh, well, I know what I want. I want to be a leader, or a gold leader or something like that. But if they don't plan out on how to get there, because there's milestones to get there, yes, there's going to be certain campaigns that are going to be harder. or
Mm-hmm.
whatever the case may be, is going to be tough. Like, you know, every campaign is not, you know, there's struggles, little humps that we have to get over.
Mm-hmm.
But if we don't plan accordingly and attack appropriately to our goals and actually work towards them, we're never going to get there.
Yeah, and that's a perfect, I mean, you said it perfectly. I mean, honestly. And in this little statement, you know, that they had written down a clear set of goals, and we need to do that for our business too, you know, and that's what this module is all about. I mean, you're going to be looking at your business, analyzing your business, and you're going to write down what your goals are for over the next several campaigns. And for those that have been with Avon for some time, we used to do dream boards and things like that, and a lot of people still do that, not just with Avon, but I know that my niece is in a sorority, and they did a dream board with their sorority. It's like, oh my gosh, I did that with Avon when I first started with Avon years ago. But it's, you know, it's giving you like a visual. So writing goals or making a dream board, it just gives you a visual of your roadmap, you know, what you want, what is it you want to get to, and what are the steps you're going to take. So thank you for sharing. All right, so it's important to dream big, and Avon has helped many great people achieve big dreams. And I've had the pleasure and the opportunity to work with a lot of really great leaders over the last 18 years. And I talk a lot about some of them, and I'm not going to talk about Timothy Brown tonight because I always talk about Timothy. And I know your guys are like, oh no, again, we're going to talk about Timothy again. And I hear that I think he's in the campaign 15 brochure or something coming up. I've got to make sure I check that out. But anyway, I'm going to talk about Pam Heller, and some of you may have heard Pam Heller speak in the past. She's from South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, and I love Pam's story because she readily admits that she joined and quit Avon like 10 times before the last time, where she's like, you know, I don't like my job. I don't want to keep working here, and I am really, this time that I'm signing up with Avon, I'm really going to give it a go. I'm not going to treat it like a hobby. I'm going to treat it like a job. And her goal was to be able to make enough money, you know, the money that she needed to replace the money that she was earning on her full-time job. But she also knew that, you know, she wanted to title in her leadership business by the end of that particular year. So the combination of building her customer base and the goal of titling in her leadership business by the end of the year, those were her two specific goals, and that's what she focused on. So, you know, it's important to determine specifically how your Avon business can help you achieve your dream, and it's also important to determine when you want to achieve your dream. But, you know, some dreams might take years to achieve, but, you know, others, you know, are more attainable. So we're going to talk about SMART goals in a little bit, and the A in SMART is attainable, and that's a really important piece of the measurement, because if you set goals that are way too lofty for the short term, you might get discouraged and give up. But you will need to set attainable goals all along the way. So back to to Pam Heller. You probably also know, if you know anything about Pam, that her daughter is now a very successful representative. Her name is Jessica Stover, and you know, she learned from the best, her mom. So if you're going to RepFest and you don't know their story, you've not met them, make sure you seek them out and just say, I've heard so many great things about you guys, and I'd love to hear your story, because they are two beautiful representatives and very giving, and will certainly share their story and let you join their Facebook group and be very, very supportive to every representative that crosses their path. All right, so the first step to achieving your dream, of course, is goal setting. And the definition of setting goals is establishing a measurable set of targets that will enable you to reach your overall dream. And what goals are not, they're not discrete activities, they're not single actions, and they are not high-level concepts. But what SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So it's really important to keep all of that. And I'm just going to put it out there now, but when we do our wrap up at the end, I'm going to ask you what SMART stands for, and we'll talk about it off and on over the next several weeks. So just remember that SMART means specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. And any goals that you set, you need to make sure that you include all of this framework. But if I were to say, I want to recruit more, that is not a SMART goal, right? I would instead say something like, I want to recruit one person each month through the end of this year, right? So that's SMART because it was specific and it was measurable. It's attainable, right? One person each month. It's relevant to my business because I want to grow my team, and it's time bound. I said I want to do it by the end of the year. And then if I were also to say something like, I want to increase my personal sales, well, that's just sort of a blanket statement. That's not very smart. But if I were to say, I want to increase each of my personal orders for campaigns 15 and 16 by $100. So that's a SMART goal. Again, it's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So those are just a few examples. So when you're doing your homework and as you're planning your goals now and then into the future, just keep this in mind. And it's part of your other information I attached to the email earlier. So in addition, I gave you a guide to keep this. So keep this by your desk, carry it with you, and just remember this framework. I'm sorry, my husband is like talking in the background. He's so distracting. I'm sorry if you can hear him talking to himself. I think he's going crazy. Oh my goodness. All right. So we are going to use the key measurements for our goals, and this is going to ensure that our goals are, again, specific, measurable, relevant, 3 of the 5 letters in SMART. But we begin with our personal goals because, of course, they are most directly tied to our dream. Our personal goals include our earnings title, our first generation new appointments, and our personal sales dollars. And because our teams help us achieve our earnings and title goals, our next step is to set team goals. So the team goals are, and you'll see on the box on the right, the number of new team appointments. So the number of appointments that your downline are putting people into the pipeline, the size of your team, the actual number of people you have in your downline, the order activity, which is really important. How many of them are putting in orders? So total number of team orders, the average order size, and then bottom line, your team sales, because your team sales, combined with yours, that's where it takes you to the next level or keeps you at the title that you are now. So team sales is really important. All right. So does anybody have any questions? Is everybody clear about the definitions of the measures? So the glossary that was attached to my earlier email has this in it as well. All right. So these are the right measures to track not only your personal goals, but also your team goals. So there are many additional measures you might look at, but we really believe that these are the highest level measures that drive your success. So this is why we're going to establish our team goals using these measures. And you'll have the opportunity to set your goals as part of the application guide in this module. All righty. So let's talk about the things you should consider when setting your personal goals. And the first thing you need to consider is your dream. How close do you want to getting to achieve your dream? How close do you want to get to achieving your dream, like say by the end of this year? And it's important to align your goals with your dream. Another important consideration is your time. How much time do you plan to commit to your Avon business. If your goals are aggressive, but you don't have time to dedicate to them, then you can't be successful. So it is important to be realistic so your goals are attainable, which is the A in SMART. So for example, Midia, you work, so when you and I talk and I'm looking at your application guide, certainly if I feel like your goals are a little bit too aggressive, I'm going to remind you. It's like, hey, you work full time, you're taking care of your parents, maybe, this should be a goal for the end of 2019. Let's talk about something else that you can set for this year. So, it's not good to set goals that are not attainable, again, because you'll just feel defeated. So, for those of you that do work, and Ariel having 3 kids at home, it's the same thing. It's a job at home. So, certainly just be realistic so that you're not feeling defeated. So just be realistic when you're setting your goals. All right. Okay. So, another important step in setting your goals is reflecting on your past performance. So you need to understand your past in order to plan your future. So I'm going to ask, why is it important to reflect on your past performance? What can that tell you?
Gives you an idea of, where you can go, what you've already achieved. And, you did it once, you can certainly apply yourself, make a few changes here or there and try to make it. At least that's what I'm looking at right now.
Exactly. Well, yeah, it can help you understand the impact of your activities and your time commitment, right? So you can think back on the things that you did and, what worked, right? Right.
Mm-hmm. Self-evaluation is always good. I learned from another class that I took recently. It was another coaching class that I took on my own, and they said every 6 weeks you should reevaluate what you did and see what you can improve upon. It helps you build yourself, grow yourself, and it also could help you and your team as well.
Right. So it can show you where you've been successful and where you might need to change your approach. So if you want different results, right? I mean, what is that saying? If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting what you got, So if you're okay with what you've been getting, then keep doing the same thing. But if you want to have different results, you need to change it up. You need to look at your past and figure out, what am I doing? I'm trying to think. Robin McGowan always used to say to only do activities that are value added. Robin McGowan was my first division manager, and I always loved that saying is, look at what you've been doing and did it add any value? Did it add any value to your business? And if it didn't, stop doing it. So value added activities. But it's it's also important to consider the impact of your new appointments. Typically, they're going to have some impact, right? Whether you need maybe more orders, maybe you still need volume to get to the next level. So, that's another consideration as you're working on your goals and you're planning on the number of recruits that you're going to be bringing into your business. Think about how your new recruits impact your business as well, and how you're going to be working with them differently in the future in order to get results better than what you've gotten in the past. Some of you, have better results with your team than others, so it's going to be different from leader to leader. So, but is there anything else that you guys can think of that you should consider when you're setting your personal goals?
Yes. I learned something this campaign, because this campaign was a pretty tough campaign for me because I was trying to build my team and try to help the team grow as well. Sometimes life happens when you're making other plans. Like, it doesn't go the way you planned it to go, and don't get hard on yourself like if it just didn't work out the way you planned it to go.
Yeah, I love that. Right. Look, life gets in the way. You never know when, life is going to throw you a curveball. So you have to you have to always have a plan B, right? So,
Mhm.
and don't beat yourself up. To your point, it's going to happen. So, the good thing with Avon is that we start new every 2 weeks. So you can just say, okay, I'm so glad that campaign's over. I just need to focus on the next one. I need to make sure
Yeah.
the next one is solid, and this is what I'm going to do differently. So certainly. So again, we can start fresh every 2 weeks. So don't beat yourself up if you have a bad campaign from time to time. It's going to happen. So, but look, I'm glad that you're honest with yourself, because that's the only way that you're going to grow from whatever happened. That's the way you're going to get over it. All right. So once your personal goals are established, you can focus on your team goals for the rest of this year. And we're halfway over. I can't believe that we're already halfway over this year. So, you always have to be looking at the end of the year, and then as we get closer to the end of the year, then we're looking at first quarter next year. But remember, your downline results significantly impact your personal results. So to your point, Ariel, as you were working on that, it probably, whatever happened, it will impact your personal results. Let me think, what else did I want to talk about here? Okay, so once your team goals are set and you've considered all of these things, ask yourself, are my goals attainable? Can I stretch them even further? I hate to keep going back to cruise like a boss, but I just really, that's like the biggie each year. That your team is so important to your results. Getting them fired up with maybe having a couple of them trying to work to achieve to go on the goal. To go on whatever the incentive is, or to achieve the incentive. So it besides your personal goals and your team goals, I mean, it's the two of them together. When they gel and they all come together, then everybody wins. So is there anything that you guys would add when it comes to setting team goals? I mean, what else would you consider when setting your team goals? I think that probably we've covered all of that, right? Okay. So, all right. So once you've set your personal and team goals, we're going to ask you to set specific goals for key performance indicators for your next 6 campaigns, which is basically like the next 3 months, right? So, why do y'all think it's important to set specific goals?
Be president.
Go on, Rose. I think that was Rose, or maybe that was Kathy.
Yes.
Rose, hey Rose.
How you doing?
Good. So why do you think it's important to set specific goals?
Well, you want your team to be all President's Club if they work hard.
True. So, I mean, certainly you want to ensure that you're making incremental progress so that you'll ultimately achieve the long-term goal. So if you're you're looking at your sales, and if your goal every year is to make President's Club or better. So, I mean, that
not my goal.
Oh, for your team?
My team's goal. Yeah.
That would be awesome. Yeah. So setting that goal to, certainly, because if you have,
I know I will make it, but I want my team to make it also.
I think that's a great goal to set for your downline, because ultimately, the value of a President's Club member is $10,000, right? So
yes.
If you have several people achieving President's Club, then that's going to get you where you need to be as a leader to your next title. So I love that. Thanks, Rose, because that's really important. So again, so ensuring that you're making incremental progress so you'll ultimately achieve your goal and your ultimate dream.
Okay, I'm going under the knife tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock.
Oh, I'm sorry. So you won't be available on Friday? Or will you be back
No,
home? Will you be back home?
I'll be back home on Friday. What time?
Like mid-morning? Do you think you would be up to meeting, or do you want to wait till next week?
Well, no, I'll be up to it.
Okay. So let's tentatively plan for 10 o'clock, okay?
Okay,
And I'll just come to your house. I'll come to your house. All
okay.
right.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So let's talk
Um,
about what we need to consider. Go on. I'm sorry. I just cut somebody off. Who did I cut off?
it's okay.
Oh, go on.
It's Ariel. We were on the subject of like, the President's Club. She was
Mm-hmm.
spot on with
Mm-hmm.
it. I was actually just doing this a few days ago for myself because I looked at what I need to get to President's Club, and I just divided it by how many campaigns are left and what I
Mm-hmm.
need to make each campaign. It's really easy. And you just set your goal. Like, okay, I need 485 till the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
$485 per thing. What do I got to do to get there?
It's perfect.
How many
Mm-hmm.
sales how many orders do I need to get there? And divide it smaller, because when it's
Mm-hmm.
attainable or, more realistic in your mind, it doesn't seem like so big. Like it doesn't,
Right. It doesn't seem so intimidating,
yeah.
right? Yeah. And that's a good way also to work with your team. If you have somebody that's been doing great and putting in good orders, it's I mean, it's really attainable to get there by the end of the year, to do exactly what you've done. In fact, I mean, there's a goal card on your Avon.com that, you know, each of your team members can pull, and it shows them exactly where they are and what they're going to need to get there by the end of the year. But the math is easy, just, you take the total amount, subtract what you've sold so far this year, and then divide that by the number of campaigns, and that's going to tell you how much on average you're going to need to sell each campaign. And the good news is that, yeah, it might be a little tougher during the summer, but come the fall and winter, our sales are so much better, and so you don't have to really sweat it if you miss your goal through the summer each campaign. Don't worry, because it'll happen for you in the fall and the winter. And for those of you going to RepFest, I think that you have a double dollar incentive, right? So,
Woohoo! Yes, I'm looking
that
forward to
I know.
that.
So, you have to really start setting your plans now. What are you going to do in order to really capitalize on that opportunity? For the RepFest incentive. You want to make sure that you really get a lot of customers to buy in and support you, and just let them know, hey, there's a big incentive. I need you to place an order in this campaign, and I need new customers. So that one campaign will make up for any sales that have been slow during the summer. So again, don't you're doing the right things, Ariel. That is good advice. And Rose, thank you again for bringing up the President's Club incentive for your downline, because when they're successful, you're successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
all
Yeah.
right. Good job, guys. All right. So reflecting to ensure success. So once you set your goals, it's important to reflect on them and then ask yourself these questions. Are your goals attainable? Can you stretch your goals even further? Do your short-term goals align with your long-term goals? And will you make enough incremental progress in the next 6 campaigns to achieve, right? So not only your personal, but your team goals.
Yeah,
And if you,
Marie,
go on.
on the attainability.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to what we were just hitting on President's Club and so forth, I'm about $3,000 away from reaching President's Club again this year, but I have a big old sticky note on my computer, and it's got 20,000 on there, because that's what I'm going for. That's my minimum this year. And so
Oh
when
my
I take my
God.
gold card and I see, I mean, I'm so close to President Club, I don't even consider it. I'm like, no, I need 20,000. I'm going for 20,000. And keeping in mind that, you know, we're getting double dollars for going to Rep Fest and all.
Right.
I'm like, it's going to be attainable. There is
Yeah.
no ifs, ands, or buts. It's going to be attainable.